I would say for sure our resolution is to have a better 2019 than we had in 2018, which is pretty difficult to do. We set a couple track records. We had 2 national event wins, and we finished 4th in the world. So, I mean, we always strive to do better. But there are a couple things that are new this year. One would be our co-crew chief, Neil Strasbaugh. Joe Barlin was with us I've been with him for 3 years, and he moved back to Vandergrift, and we got to adopt Neil. So Neil's a proven world champion, 2 world champions with Tony Schumacher, and he's been working with Guido and Medlin over on the Infinite Hero car. So he's back on a dragster, and I'll tell you what, there's nothing like the first day of school. That's what I would consider today. The first time back in the car, for the first time ever, we entered the race season without going to a test session. And I know we love to make everything sound like it's roses and daisies and everything like that, but ultimately, like, it's no secret, this sport's extremely expensive to run. And a test session is actually more expensive to run than an actual race. So we weren't able to test in the off season to focus on racing, but everything we did in the off season was a lot, which I'm really excited for. So Mopar's had a ton of involvement with funny cars and body designs and aerodynamics, and in this off season worked with Miro, and in CAD and through engineering, we think that we've come up with the best chassis for flex. Additionally, we had changed our fuel system to cut weight and have better flow. And on top of that, we designed a new throttle pedal for geometry to open butterflies quicker and a better reaction time for me. Literally, we have our huddle of team, and everyone is like, what position are you? What position are you when it comes to starting line procedure, communication throughout the day? Who's doing just the smallest mundane things of backing the person up? Who's wiping the tire? Who's going to the top end? We have 1 less crew guide than last year, so that means that every single one of us pick up a job that otherwise was done by somebody else, but you all have to do it in the same amount of time. So first day of school is, write your name at the right-hand top of the paper. And when you work with a team for a certain amount of time, you understand their communication style. So our new co-crew chief, he's behind the car, communicates to the person in front of my car of how to maneuver backing up to make sure we're in the right tracks. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. I mean, from quick little hand gestures to all the way over the head to you actually have to predict what the driver is going to do to give that signal so that the delay to the driver is actually on time. These are things you can't do until you've learned somebody's style. And today, the first day of school, was about learning that style, and everybody got an A+ on it. So the reason that I'm as hands-on as I am is because I don't know any different. Coming from junior drag racing to Nostalgia Limited 1, nostalgia cars, and then into Pro Mod, I didn't know any other way. Like, I did not go racing if I didn't load the trailer, if I didn't tie the car down, if I didn't service the transmission. So I had to do all those things just to race. And as I've progressed into the professional driver category, there are times when I don't need to do those things, but I feel like I'm not racing anymore. Like, if I'm just driving that race car, that is a small portion of why I love racing. It's the camaraderie. And I feel if I'm not in there with the crew chief lounge for the hour after our day and understanding exactly what that high and low map did or didn't do, why we smoked the tires, I'm not progressing. And then that just means that you're plateauing, and nobody in this extreme sport plateaus. So for me, being hands-on is important so that I can continue to learn, so I can continue to be a better driver and actually understand, because I don't want to say anybody can get in these cars by any means, but it's very satisfying and gratifying to be able to know why and how we go that fast. So from a fuel perspective, one of the reasons I love it is it has a ton to do with timing. So not just the scientific factors of dialing it in 0.1% and how it fluctuates with temperature, is how much fuel you put in the car based on who you're going to run, and how much fuel you burn idling, and how much weight that takes away in the distribution of your launch. All of those are factors that I'm at the nucleus of someone's burning me down, and how high of a wheelie, or, from a wheelie bar standpoint, all of those pieces I get to communicate with and understand all you got to do is look and see we got a fresh new pair of slicks. So, hey, you need a half gallon more. You're going to do a longer burnout. It's going to take more time. You're going to burn more fuel. So that way you stay consistent with your minimum weight car and driver at the end of the run so you don't get disqualified. They're just all the little tiny pieces I enjoy. And because I'm not able to do any large jobs here from a time perspective, I maximize the ones that I understand, B, contribute to, and feel like a cohesive part of the team more than just the driver. We like to think that we were. Yeah. One of my very first memories is being like 2 years old and having salt water up to my knees as a little kid, and I'm like scratching it, itching it. There's nowhere to go. I mean, when it rains at the Salt Flats, right, you know that it's not going anywhere. So that and watching my dad work 6 months, actually, I guess you take it a whole year for one event, Speed Week. He couldn't go to both events because they owned an automotive repair shop and needed to run that. The dedication, and it almost was like the Olympics, right? The Olympics that happen once a year. So for somebody, my dad, to work on his car and get his like 2 homeboys to come over, and that was his crew, and make the drive, and I would drive with him, and it'd be 16 hours one way, and then go race for that one run, a 5-mile run, and it needed to go to impound and turn around and make that backup run to get that record, and that's what we spent that week doing. And then you have the whole other year to prepare for that very next week. That's like the extended version to me of drag racing. People don't understand, how can you have all of these parts and pieces and have so much work into 3.6 seconds? And I look at it and I'm like, man, I saw the most important man in my life work an entire year for 1 week. So I think we get the better end of the deal. So yes, my daddy is a 13-time land speed world record holder, world's fastest Ford-powered Thunderbird, naturally aspirated, and man, that thing was heavy. So I'm not the most outgoing person in the world. So I had to teach myself to be one in order to get to that next step. So what I mean by that is, when I raced with my family until I was 17 years old, we built a nostalgia funny car, partnered with somebody else. And where I'm going with this is, we got to the stopping point because we ran out of money. We didn't realize how much money it took to run a nostalgia funny car. We dead broke. That's when I learned, if you really want to race, you're gonna have to learn how to market what you're doing and find partners that want to help. So I put myself out there, found Dickie's Girl, which was my first major partner ever. And from there, I failed them. I mean, we did a great job, but I didn't really know how to do major media. And that was a failure because they didn't renew for 2010. So at that point, I looked myself in the mirror, and I was in my last year of college. I'm working for a law firm, and I'm racing. I know nothing else in life. And I put it out there and thanked everybody for racing for, at that point, for 10 years, 12 years. I'm going to focus on school. I'm going to focus on business and either build a business or learn how to do business for other companies so we can go racing. And at that point, that was a whole 2 years after. I guess in 2010, I wasn't able to race with my family anymore, but I had developed a great rapport with the Pluga racing team and paid to drive his car. That's how it worked, right? You either a good enough driver to get in one, or you have family money, or you find sponsors to get in one. So I got to drive his car one time at the reunion. We hauled ass, we did great, and I was totally hooked and addicted. And I'm like, I want to drive for you, Steve, for 2010. So I wasn't able to secure sponsorship, like I said. So Dickie's Girl didn't renew because I didn't know how to prove all the work. Social media wasn't a thing then. And oh man. So we are 8 days away from the March meet. I call Steve Kluger. I'm like, Steve, I don't have the money. I thank you for hanging on with me so this far. I don't know what to do. I go, well, let me call you at the end of the day. The phone book had been dropped off. Slam them against your door once a year. The phone book got dropped off. I live 2.5 hours away from that shop. I'm thumbing through it, and I'm like, you know what? I bet the phone book in Bakersfield, California is way thicker than this one. I'm thinking about who's got cash, you know what I mean? And who'd be down? What's the fit? I was like, Deja Vu Showgirls. That's a great fit. We have fast cars. I'm a young, pretty chick that knows how to work on cars, and like we have a great male demographic that like to have a good time. Literally cold called them, asked for the manager. I said, hey, we've got the March meet coming up. We've got 30,000 people coming out. What do you think about sponsoring me for this one race? They said, all right. How much? All right. You know what? Yeah, let's do it. So I drove up to Bakersfield, met them on my own. I'm this 19-year-old girl going to a strip club, like in the middle of the day, you know what I mean, to meet with these executives. And we were all in. And then we won that race. And from there, I'm like, hey, this is a whole series. And every spot we go on the nostalgia circuit, there's basically a club there. And I was able to put my first major deal together based on Larry Flint's Hustler and Deja Vu clubs. And it was, what I loved is it was super classy. It was super tasteful. Like, if you didn't know, they didn't make us run the logo. It just, Deja Vu, if you didn't know what Deja Vu was, you didn't know what it was. So from there, I learned to put myself out there, like, who does that? That was very uncomfortable for me to do. And I even thought about to this day, I'm like, man, what if I really make it? If I like really actually make it as a professional driver 10 years from now, like, this is going to be a part of the beginning. And I said, you screw it. That's all I got. Like, you know what I mean? That's all the cards that I was dealt. So then I owned it. So from trials and tribulations, from Vandergrift falling, from RTB2 closing, from not having funds with Dotes to continue, every single one of those situations I was able to progress out of by the people that helped me do it, and not being too proud to ask for help. You could have all the trials and tribulations, but at the end of the day, we do get to do one of the coolest jobs in the world. Okay, I wish I would have learned way more about B2B earlier. I didn't even know what it stood for. I mean, besides what I read in a textbook, maybe. Understanding how does that benefit you in order to drive whatever you would like to drive. So you become a business person and you become a race car driver secondary, and you have to, what was your priority number one, unfortunately, has to become priority number two. And you become into this profession of, you meet people all the time. Hey, what do you do? Okay, TMS, for instance, Titanium Metal Solutions. Great family, great partner, but I'm always on the lookout when I'm meeting somebody else. What business are you in? Do you use titanium? What supplier do you have? And you start that conversation, and if I'm able to get a new account that makes sense for them, and I can save this other company money, by lower price or volume costs, then it's a two-way street for both, and then they market with the savings inside a race car that they never would have had marketing dollars for it before that. So learning to create marketing budgets for a company when that budget didn't even exist is a very specialized business, and I think that is what I would implore them to do. To not just like literally forget about slapping a sticker on the side of a car and being like, sponsor me. There's way too much noise and advertisement for that to really stand out. Go to a company, ask them what their needs are, where are they hurting in business, or where would they like to grow. Don Schumacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, the person that I always want to bring good news to and I don't want to disappoint is by far Don Schumacher. And not just because he's my boss and he owns everything in the race cars, but he gave me that opportunity to build now 3 years in. He's like the dad I never had. So, yeah, I don't want to disappoint him because he will let you know. He's not shy about letting you know when you mess up. And to impress somebody that's done so much and so many great things, it's hard to impress him. So that makes me happy. It's hard to impress Don Schumacher. So if you impress Don Schumacher, you can have a good day.
Crack a smile out of them.
Exactly. I would give Roger Burgess the credit for giving me an opportunity that I probably didn't deserve to have that elite of a team and operation, because I was an unproven driver, and also because there are so many other people at that time deserving. So they say don't compare yourself to everybody else. No, that's exactly what you do. Um, and I felt I wasn't mechanically knowledgeable enough. And I'm racing that car knowing that there's people that probably deserve to be in that car more than I do, which just drove me then to be that person that deserved to be in that car. So, Roger Burgess, you're probably not ever going to see this, but thank you for that opportunity, and I definitely would not be here without you. So that's always a super difficult question to answer because there was not. Um, I saw a void. So I was here at this race at the Winternationals and looking around, and man, I love John Force. I love Prudhomme. I mean, he was a team owner then. Getting my $8 hot dog, and it's 100 degrees outside, and I'm trying to find shade and wait in line for 2 hours for Tony Schumacher. Like the whole jazz, the whole. I mean, just normal fan. But I go, there is not a there's not a young female professional driver that that's out here winning and somebody that I can relate to. So I saw a void, and I thought I could fill that void. Like I can actually really do this. I said to myself, this sport needs that. It wasn't 6 months later that Ashley Force came out, and it was what Ashley did was exactly what I wanted to do, and I was heartbroken. I mean, I was young. I was like 14 years old, and she's 18 or 19 or so, and I thought, I'm done. Like she is filling that void for this that this sport really desperately needed, and my opportunity is now going to be gone. And I let that get me down, and then I thought, well, no, not really. She's a much different path than I have, and I can still get there on my path, and we can inspire people in two different ways. Like I wanted to be the person that wasn't out here. If you want to do something, do it responsibly. I was afraid to ask questions to my dad about cars and how they work and how turbos work and the differences in superchargers because I felt stupid. And I wish I don't ever want a little girl out there that has interest in cars to not further her interest because she was afraid to ask questions. So that is one thing I'll tell little girls. Ask questions. Don't be afraid. Don't sound stupid because you know what? You think you sound stupid now. Just wait till you're 10 years down the road and you wish that you would have known, you wish that you would know more. Like, just, like, that's what I love about that guy, Todd Okahara, my crew chief. He doesn't make me sound stupid. I've learned more in the last 28 months being Todd Okahara's driver than I think I ever have in any of my career. Well, like, one cool saying that we had for this team was, we don't need all the fans in the world. We just need the right ones. And I think that should apply to everybody. You don't need all the friends or all the followers. You just need the right ones that think the same way that you do or enjoy the same things and grow together. I hate the fact that this is so money driven that when you come to the races and you're thinking about how is it's even going to sustain, you're focusing on sustaining and not driving. The reason I hate that is because those guys across the road and down the road, their focus is on thriving and money's not an issue and they get to keep going. So that like that's what hurts because we all have this same goal and we want to be moving forward instead of just surviving. So how do you thrive and survive at the same time? And that is exactly, I think, what 2019 for us is going to be. That's super challenging. That's not just like, hey, we've got everything in the world, let's go kick everyone's butt and go get a championship. It's we need to stay here and also not get our butts beat. And you know what? At the same time, beat them. Like all of it happens at the same time and on a lower budget. Like when we pull this off, and I'm telling you we will, it's going to be one hell of a season, and it's probably going to be the most proud and honored and humbling season of the year. But this is probably going to be the hardest working season. Things that are on my mind are the team that I have right behind me that have stuck with me through those question marks. My crew chief that There's other sharks out here that have thrown more money at him to steal him away and hasn't left because he believes in this team. To Don Schumacher, to the partners that have stayed with us and grown with us. So, I mean, down the list would be Mopar and Pennsville Dodge, Sparkling Ice, and, you know, at the end of the day, those are the ones that we have that we're thriving with. Not surviving with, we are going to thrive with them. And my mom, because she thinks I can do anything. And I can't leave out the competition, which would be my husband over there on Torrance's team. So, and I would say everybody at Schumacher, and specifically during this past off season, I spent more time in the chassis shop than I ever had. And if our big changes were developed there, which are the guys that don't get to go to the track anymore, those like literally race on the track. I feel like we're doing this for us and the 8 of us and our partners. The amount of excitement and success, I guess, that they feel, even though they're not at the track, is like we're doing it for them. We're doing it for us. We're doing it for them too. Like the team is so big, and I'd like to thank the fans for being like the coolest. I don't know. When I say the coolest, like it's not all of them in the world, and we don't fit for everybody, but the ones that like what we're doing, that get it at the ropes when we're mixing fuel and we're in a mad thrash, and wait to the end of the night or to the day, and just it's the Mopar fans. Like I'm proud. I guess that makes me even more proud to represent them for the people that live, breathe, eat, die, tattoo them, and to win for them. So, man, if I didn't hit Don Schumacher and Tada Kahara and this team, Dodge, Mopar, Pennsville, Sparkling Ice, my parents and my fans, like that is my world. And my husband when I change universes. And that's not even including the factory car. That's a different planet too.